There is a part of a common vegetable that contains a key to longevity, and for the last 70 years, we have been taught to treat it like garbage. It has 3 times more age-fighting antioxidants than blueberries, 4 times more eye-protecting lutein than kale, and more vitamin A than the part of the plant we actually eat. Billions of pounds of this green are thrown away every single year, dismissed as nothing more than agricultural waste, while for the longest living people on Earth, the Okinawan centenarians, this was their daily medicine, the single most important vegetable in their diet. This was the plant that saved their entire civilization from famine when typhoons destroyed everything else. Yet today, industrial farms just plow it back into the soil. Supermarkets refuse to stock it, and the supplement industry works to make sure you never learn its name. It wasn't forgotten because it was useless. It was erased because it grows for free in your backyard and can't be put in a bottle and sold for $50. Before I open this file, if this kind of knowledge matters to you, subscribe to this channel. It's how we make sure this information can never be buried again. The plant is the Okinawan sweet potato leaf, the green top of the Ipomoea batatas that modern agriculture treats like garbage. For the world's longest-lived people, this wasn't just food, it was their daily medicine, the nutritional engine that powered their legendary longevity. Its disappearance from our modern plates was not an accident. It wasn't forgotten because something better came along. It was a casualty of an industrial food system that decided the most nutrient-dense part of the plant was worthless, a calculated decision that has cost us access to one of nature's most powerful protective foods. This knowledge was buried for a simple reason: it's not profitable. A leaf that anyone can grow in a pot on their balcony cannot be patented. It can't be processed into a powder and sold with a massive markup, and its delicate nature makes it a logistical nightmare for a supply chain built for durability, not nutrition. The entire anti-aging and supplement industry, worth hundreds of billions of dollars, is built on selling you complex, expensive solutions. They have zero financial incentive for you to learn that a superior, more bioavailable source of antioxidants grows for free, attached to a common vegetable. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, prioritizing profit over public health, convenience over resilience. But this plant story is more than just a tale of modern neglect. It's a story of survival against all odds. To truly understand how a life-saving medicine was systematically erased from our diets, we have to travel back in time, to a place where this humble leaf wasn't just a source of vitamins. It was the difference between life and death for an entire civilization, the one thing that stood between the Okinawan people and total starvation. The story of this plant doesn't begin in Japan, but in the highlands of Peru nearly 8,000 years ago, though its true legend was forged on a small island chain in the Pacific. In the year 1605, an official of the Ryukyu kingdom named Noguni Soken is credited with bringing the first sweet potato seedlings back from China, a simple act of agricultural exchange that would change the destiny of his people. He wasn't just introducing a new crop, he was planting a lifeline, the very foundation for a legacy that would eventually make the Okinawans the longest-lived civilization on the planet. Before this humble plant took root, life in the Ryukyu Islands was a constant gamble against the sky, a precarious existence dependent on fragile staples like rice and wheat. Each year, the people would watch the horizon for the inevitable typhoons that swept in from the Pacific, immense storms capable of flattening entire fields and washing away the harvest in a matter of hours. Famine wasn't just a distant threat, it was a recurring certainty, a brutal cycle where a single act of nature could condemn thousands to starvation, proving their food system was tragically broken. The sweet potato completely changed the equation of survival. Its genius was its dual nature, a design perfectly suited for this harsh environment. While the typhoons destroyed everything above ground, its energy-rich tuber remained safe and protected in the soil, a hidden reserve of calories untouched by the wind and rain. The Okinawan people quickly understood this advantage, and historical records from the Ryukyu Kingdom explicitly credit the plant with saving the population from mass starvation on multiple occasions. It wasn't just another crop, it became the island's strategic defense, the one thing that could not be taken from them. Here is where the Okinawan story diverges from the rest of the world, revealing a layer of wisdom that we have completely forgotten. They didn't just see the tuber as the prize, they understood the entire plant was a gift, treating the leaves as a co-primary product, not as agricultural waste. In a diet that was historically low in meat, these tender greens, the Murasakiyama noha, became their most commonly consumed vegetable, a daily source of protective vitamins and minerals. This wasn't a food of desperation, it was a cornerstone of their diet, a deliberate nutritional strategy passed down through generations. This profound understanding wasn't locked away in ancient texts, it was woven into the fabric of daily life through the culture of Seirin, or the family home garden. Okinawans cultivated sweet potato vines on their rooftops and in small backyard plots, ensuring every single household had direct access to both the energy from the tuber and the medicine from the leaves. This created a powerful, decentralized food system that was immune to supply chain collapse. This wasn't a commercial crop grown for profit, it was a family's life insurance, a living pharmacy growing just outside the kitchen door. For centuries, this was simply Okinawan wisdom, a truth passed down through gardens and kitchens, but in the last few decades, modern science finally pointed its instruments at this forgotten leaf, and the results were staggering. Researchers were not just impressed, they were shocked, discovering a nutritional profile that put most so-called superfoods to shame. They found more eye-protecting lutein than kale, more beta-carotene than carrots, and more blood-clotting vitamin K than almost any other common green. A 2007 study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry confirmed its superiority, revealing it contains nearly 3 times the antioxidant polyphenol as blueberries, the very fruit marketed as the pinnacle of anti-aging. Scientists also identified the specific compounds responsible for this protective power, particularly the high concentration of anthocyanins, the same deep purple pigments that give blueberries and blackcurrants their elite status. These molecules are nature's frontline defense against cellular damage, acting as potent free radical scavengers that help slow the aging process at its source. Research from McGill University even suggested these polyphenol can protect brain cells from oxidative stress, potentially improving memory and learning. The Okinawans didn't need a microscope to know the plant was special. They saw its vibrant color as a sign of life, and science has now proven their intuition was absolutely correct. The benefits extend far beyond general antioxidant activity, targeting specific systems in the body with remarkable precision. Studies have shown these leaves can contain up to 5 times the amount of lutein as kale, a critical nutrient for protecting the eyes from macular degeneration. Furthermore, a 2011 study in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition uncovered another layer of genius, finding that an extract from the leaves helped regulate blood sugar after meals. This offers a powerful scientific clue as to why type 2 diabetes, a modern epidemic, was almost non-existent in the traditional Okinawan population. What science is ultimately confirming is the principle of food synergy, the idea that the whole is far greater than the sum of its parts. It's not just the vitamin A or the polyphenol or the lutein in isolation, it's the entire complex matrix of nutrients working together, just as nature designed. This is something the supplement industry, with its isolated chemical compounds, can never replicate. The Okinawan sweet potato leaf isn't just a source of vitamins, it is a complete biological system of protection, a living pharmacy that modern science is only now beginning to understand. So if this leaf is one of the most nutritionally complete foods ever analyzed, the question we should all be asking is obvious. Why have most of us never even heard of it? The answer wasn't a conspiracy, it was a quiet, calculated business decision made decades ago. The decline began after World War II, with the rise of industrial agriculture, a system built not for nutrition, but for mechanization, long-distance shipping, and shelf life. The tough, starchy tuber was a perfect fit for this new world. It could be harvested by machine and survive for weeks in a warehouse. The delicate, perishable leaves could not. Follow the money, the answer is always there. The tuber is the cash crop, the raw material for a multi-billion-dollar industry of processed foods like sweet potato fries, chips, and flour. In this industrial model, the leaves are not a co-product, they're a logistical problem, an inconvenience to be plowed back into the soil or sold for pennies as low-grade animal feed. For the modern supermarket supply chain, which demands produce that can withstand a 2,000-mile journey, a green that wilts in a few days is economically unviable. It was simply ignored out of existence because it couldn't be easily commodified. This created a nutritional vacuum that the supplement industry was more than happy to fill. A global anti-aging market worth hundreds of billions of dollars thrives on selling you expensive, isolated compounds in a bottle, from exotic berry extracts to synthetic vitamins. A common vegetable leaf that you can grow in a pot for free, which provides a more complete and bioavailable source of protection, is a direct threat to this entire business model. It can't be patented, it can't be put in a powder with a massive markup, and it doesn't create a dependent customer. It is the definition of a disruptive technology. This economic neglect was reinforced by a deep-seated cultural bias. In the West, eating the leafy tops of root vegetables was historically associated with poverty, a food of last resort, not a cornerstone of longevity. This perception prevented it from ever being marketed as a premium health food like kale or spinach. As a result, nutritional science itself developed a massive blind spot, focusing its research almost exclusively on the tuber because that was the only part being sold in stores. The most valuable part of the plant was rendered invisible by our own food system. The ultimate irony is that we now buy expensive pills filled with lutein to protect our eyes and vitamin K supplements for our bones, trying to replicate the very benefits nature already packaged perfectly into this forgotten leaf. The system isn't broken, it's working exactly as it was designed, prioritizing patentable products over public knowledge and creating customers instead of empowering producers. This logic didn't just sideline a healthy vegetable, it actively erased a legacy of survival and resilience, replacing a living pharmacy with a plastic bottle. But what if we could reclaim that knowledge? The truth of this plant was never lost in some ancient, forgotten text. It was deliberately buried under mountains of agricultural waste and the marketing budgets for inferior products. It survived not in sponsored studies or university laboratories, but in the quiet wisdom of Okinawan rooftop gardens and in the hands of grandparents who never forgot what kept their ancestors alive through the storm. This knowledge was never truly destroyed. It was just waiting patiently in the soil for someone to remember where to look, for people like you to finally uncover it again. You now hold a piece of that resilience in your hands. The next step isn't to find an expensive extract or a new pill, it is to find a single organic sweet potato. For the price of a coffee, you can place it in a pot of soil and watch a living pharmacy sprout on your own windowsill, a continuous supply of the same protective grains that fueled the world's longest-lived people. This simple act of growing your own food is a quiet rebellion against a system that requires you to be a dependent customer, not a self-sufficient producer. Every person who learns this story is one less person who can be sold an expensive, ineffective solution, and one more person who understands that real health grows, it isn't manufactured. If this knowledge is important, then share this video and help us build a community that values ancestral wisdom over corporate profits. Subscribe to this channel to ensure these stories are never buried again, because there is so much more they hoped we would all forget. So much more we need to remember together. The industrial food system made a clear choice decades ago. They chose the durable route for its shelf life and profit margin, and in doing so, they discarded the most vital part of the plant. They chose convenience over vitality and profit over protection, hoping we would never question their decision or look at what was being thrown away. Just remember this. The secret to a long life was never in the part they decided to sell, it was in the part they taught us to call waste.